We would like to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Sonic Electronics, so check them out for great deals on speakers, head units, amps, subs, wiring, etc. Use discount code PROVOBEAST for an instant 5% off your next purchase during checkout. PROVOBEAST here, doing another install today. A little bit different than my typical car audio installs. Today we're going to show you how to wire in factory-looking fog lights in a Chevy Avalanche, Suburban, Tahoe, Yukon. It's all about the same. So we will be working on this Avalanche more specifically. In this video we're going to show you how to run all the cabling needed to install fog lights in the factory location. Now what we have already installed is the light itself, but it's not wired to anything. If you have a blank there, typically you can order these lights. I'll post in the description the kit that we're using today, but essentially it comes with two sets, obviously, fog lights, and specifically you just pop those blanks out and these pop right back in their place. We're going to show you how to pop those blanks out, how to wire up your new lights, run those cables, and do a little test for you. The first thing you're going to want to do is get access to those lights in the front and in the back. Now the best way to do so is you just crank your wheels all the way to one direction, and then we can get back behind the lights within the bumper. Now we're going to have to get behind this bumper cover, or the interior wheel well cover. You're going to have a combination of 9/32 or 7mm screws there. We're going to have these little clips that you can pop on out as well, and that allows us to get back behind. So go ahead and grab your tools, and we're going to start from there. Okay, here we are. So I removed those 9/32 screws. There's going to be one here and one up here. Now what I use here is a panel removal tool for these clips, and basically kind of get up underneath and just work these on out just like so. And if you don't have one of these, you can use a screwdriver, but it's going to be much more difficult. Just kind of work on it. You don't want to break them, but they will come free. We're going to do this one as well. Now you can pop these two out here if you're struggling with the space given, but typically you don't, because this will bend far enough back that it will give you the access you need. Okay, so we've popped that on back and just kind of tucked it back behind our little light here. Sorry, I don't want to blend the camera, but this gives us the access. Now, here is our light, at least the back end of it. Now, if you have a blank there, you're going to see these tabs, and I'm going to see if I can point them out for you. That slot, and the slot there on the bottom is what holds the blanks in. They're little clips. Release those clips, the blank pops out. Now, our aftermarket light has already been popped in, and there you can see it just pops in. There's already holes within the bumper itself, so the light itself pops right into those holes. But the wiring itself, I'll also post in the description how to do obtain those for yourself. So it comes with a big bundle of wiring here. Of course, you can see a relay. You can see an inline fuse there. This is our little switch here. Now you can get kits that more integrate to the factory switches on the left hand side of the steering column. This is more of a universal one, just a click on, click off. There's our actual plugs that clip into the back of the lights themselves. Some miscellaneous screws here and some zip ties. So like I said, check the description. I'll post the actual part number and everything that you'll need within this install, just so when you're searching for parts, it'll be a little bit easier on you. Alright, so we got the wiring all out here, so you can kind of see how it'll wire in the truck. Now, you have this insulated loom. Basically, you'll have an end here and an end here as well. Those were your plugs for the lights themselves. They just clip in there. They're insulated, so should be a little bit tougher against the corrosion. And these ends plug into the lights. Now, I've pulled out a light bulb just so you can see how it plugs in. This is the light actually out of the assembly itself. I popped it out, and this will just plug right into those lights. So essentially this will be in the car. These ends then will plug into these corresponding plugs. Then if you follow this along here, it goes to a relay. The relay requires power and ground. So typically you'll have a constant power and a ground for that relay. You notice it's already fused, so this can go straight to the battery, straight to the ground. If you follow along, the switch itself has plenty of length. The switch also requires an ignition source, as it says there, and a ground source. So follow that black one here, right here. So you can ground these somewhere inside. It just needs to be a really clean bare metal surface to ground that. So the switch itself requires a ground and an ignition source, and the relay itself requires a constant 12 volts and a ground source as well. That's it. Super simple. Hopefully that's not too confusing in terms of where wires go, but the actual connections themselves are pretty straightforward. Alright, so here we go, a little bit more of an update for you. Now when you remove your fuse box panel cover here, it exposes studs here, and these are positive studs on all the time. That's where your positive to the relay is actually going to connect to. So before we get there, jumping down below, we started running our wiring. So as you can see here, I got one end all plugged in. Now you can see the wire. What I've done here, alright, so this lower cable goes down to the light down there, as you can see. So it's kind of blurry. And this is kind of the junction. This other end goes all the way down. Now, fortunately, up underneath your fans here, as you can see here, there's a little bit of wiring up underneath that you can zip tie to, so it totally remains out of the way of the fans, the electric fans up front. And then the other end goes to the other light. Just work your way down to the other light there. So those plug in. Now the wiring where it comes on up here, excuse the camera work. So it comes all on up here. I zip tied it up and around, and the harness comes out right here. So this is where the relay plugs in. And then we're going to mount the relay probably in this little area here. This has space for a second battery, but since it doesn't, it gives us plenty of room to work. And then it comes with a positive and negative. So the negative, we're just going to make a little ground here. And then the positive goes up to this stud here. Be sure to remove the negative off the battery so you can safely attach the positive lead to the stud. Now the white cable, we're going to have to run that through the firewall because we're going to mount the switch inside. This is basically the ignition trigger to trigger the relay to connect the circuit or close the circuit, allowing the lights to turn on. So we're going to have to run this inside the cab. And there's our factory grommet here. What we've done here is cut a little slit so it's open. You can kind of get your finger in there and feel where you can run a hanger through, which I have, and pulled it through the inside. Now here we're going to run this white wire through. Probably spray a little WD-40 so it slips through pretty easily, but this is going to connect into the switch side. Okay, so I've pulled the wire on through into the cabin of the truck. As you can see here, this is how I pulled it on through. I just sprayed a little WD-40 and it slipped right on through. I don't know if I can really get a shot of where it came through, but it came through the firewall there. You can kind of see where it's moving. That's where it came through. Alright, so I'm going to unhook that, and that wire is going to connect to the other end of the white wire. That'll connect to the switch inside the truck here. Under the engine bay, we got our relay mounted, just right there. We made our ground. We used a wire brush to really clean the paint, and then using a screw, that is super tight. If you want, you can put some anti-rust spray over that if you choose to do so. We got our positive on there and just ran the wire. So as you can see, the two connections at the relay, besides the main harness itself, and you just need the ground and then a constant power, just like that. And everything, I'm going to zip tie and clean everything else up. And then this white wire is our trigger wire, which goes to the switch inside the truck. Again, that goes right inside the cab. That's where I reconnected using a butt connector. Then that follows that down into the main plug to our switch. Now remember, our switch requires, this is the trigger wire which goes to the relay, but a positive and a ground. The ground, found a nice bolt there. We just bolted that in. It's nice and tight. And then the ignition wire, if you take off this plastic cover that goes, this is kind of a power location, and we connected, if we get really close, into this pin right there. There's six pins, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. On the bottom, very left-hand side, is the ignition pin. And it's just a good power point. So we plugged in there. If you want, you can fuse this as well, just to be safe. It's up to you. And now we're just going to clean up a bit of wiring here. We've decided to mount our switch just right here. And then we just ran that down. Now we got a lot of extra wire which we're going to bundle underneath this back panel here. So let's clean up some wiring and show you how it works. Alright, so we got a switch all mounted, all good to go. Ran the wire down, got everything plugged in. Just got this panel back on, got this panel back on. Everything is nice and cleanly zip tied. Got our cover back on. Okay, let's do a little test here. It boots up. And you can see it turns red as it shows you that it's off. No lights. Let me turn off the factory lights. Okay. Green light is good. We are. The light's on as well. Pretty cool. Thanks guys for watching the channel. We surely appreciate it. If you have any questions about this install, just go ahead and post a comment below. Be sure to check out the description for all the parts used in this install. Hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and we'll certainly see you in the next video.